So it's my pleasure to introduce Margaret Golden, Conservation Coordinator for CalWater. And as we noted, she's going to now speak to the urban side of steps that have been taken to improve conservation. And I will say that Margaret's presentation sets the stage for our guest speaker, who today I alluded to earlier today, and is Tia Fleming. Tia is the co-director of the California Water Efficiency Partnership, or CalWEP. And so Margaret's presentation sort of tees up where Tia is then going to go into in some more detail. So Margaret?
That's right. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Margaret Golden. I am the Conservation Coordinator in the Central Region for the California Water Service. And yeah, thank you so much, Norm, for your great presentation. Really giving a great overview of water conservation and the agriculture side of things. And yeah, as Dave mentioned, I'm going to talk more about the urban water retail side. And yeah, also just wanted to thank you guys so much for being here today. Also the agency for having me. Thank you for taking your Saturday morning and for caring about water conservation in general. I'm very passionate about it, so very excited to be here to talk to you guys about it today. But yeah, just a little bit of an overview of the California Water Service in general. We are a large statewide private water utility. We have over 400,000 service connections across the state of California in over 23 districts and serve over 2 million customers. So yeah, we're a very large company, but we have service areas down here in the Salinas Valley as well, specifically in Salinas and King City. We have about 29,000 service connections here in Salinas and about 11 service connections, or 11,000 in King City. But yeah, so I am, and yeah, just another note, what's interesting about my work is on the urban water retail side is that we're really in the business of, we're one of the few businesses that incentivizes our customers to use less of our product, which is kind of an interesting thing to think about. And yeah, I'll be talking more about how we do that and why that's important in the presentation. So yeah, the agenda for today is to continue with the theme of talking about the past, present, and future things that we on the urban water retail side are planning to do and have done with regard to water conservation. So we're going to kick off by talking a little bit about some legislative history, and then we're going to move on to talking about water conservation, both indoors and outdoors, current things that we're doing, and then we're going to finish off by talking about some impactful program options in addition to new technologies that we're looking forward to in the future. So if you could all bear with me just for a second for some legislative history. Yeah, California, this slide is mainly just to emphasize that California as a state has been working toward water conservation for a long time, for decades now. So this work has already been done. And yeah, I think that's important to remember to kind of lay the groundwork for what we're doing and how we've gotten to where we are today. So some key things that have happened in the last couple decades are the Water Model Efficient Landscape Ordinance, in addition to the Water Conservation Act of 2009. And then moving more up to current day, we have the current rulemaking, which Tia Fleming will go into more detail about that in the next presentation, in addition to the non-functional turf ban. So I do have a slide on this, but I'm going to skip it because Tia is the expert, and you should all definitely stick around for her presentation. She'll go more into detail on that. She's really the excellent expert on this. But I will go into the non-functional turf ban. So by show of hands, how many people have a grass lawn at their home? Anyone? Okay, a couple. So good news is this legislation is not coming for your personal lawn, at least right now. The state is not coming for it. This ban only applies to commercial, industrial, or institutional properties, such as education facilities, large universities like we're at today, commercial properties like Costco, things like that. And yeah, it was passed in 2023 and it'll begin to take effect in January 1st of 2007 or 2027 and continue to roll out from there. But Yeah, so next we also have some fun facts. So that's kind of lays the groundwork for things that have already been done. That's a good brief overview of the past things that have already been done for water conservation. So now to kind of move into things that are currently being done in the water conservation world on the urban water retail supply side. So just out of curiosity, does anybody know how many gallons of water a standard toilet uses per flush? Does anyone know that? Or any guesses? So actually, the standard toilets produced before 1980, which luckily in California there are very few left, would use 7 gallons of water per flush. So if you can imagine, that's a lot of water. But yeah, luckily today, the water efficient toilets that we have, mostly in California, because of great laws that have been enacted, use between 1.2 and 1.5 gallons. So we see significant water savings from simple upgrades like those. And so we also have some statistics on the outdoor water savings. So we have up to 60% of all domestic water use occurs outdoors. So that's usually where we focus a lot of our attention on and see great water savings. So that will segue into the next slide on some of our turf buyback programs of the past. So these are very popular programs, but yeah, and they've been going on for the past couple decades, but of the ones of the past didn't have much to offer for either the customer or the environment. When people thought of converting their lawn to a drought-tolerant garden, they would typically just think of a desert landscape with cactuses or something like that. But luckily, lawn conversions of the present have so much more to offer both the customer and the surrounding environment, largely due to the native plant requirement, which adds aesthetic value to the home in addition to adding to the local biodiversity of the surrounding environment as well. The only con of these programs is that sometimes they can be a bit more costly due to the native plant requirement, but luckily most retail suppliers will compensate for that additional cost in the rebates. So in addition to lawn conversion programs, we also are another popular program are landscape tune-up programs. So these essentially are where your provider will send a licensed landscape contractor out to the customer's home completely free of charge to do a complete evaluation of your existing irrigation system. And these are awesome opportunities and can see great water savings because, believe it or not, we see so much water loss just from broken pipes, leaking, things like inefficient water technology within your irrigation system. So yeah, those are a really great opportunity for our customers as well. And so now to move more into the indoor water side, conservation kits are a really great program that we offer to our customers, and it's an easy way for them to participate, especially if they don't have any outdoor irrigation to consider. So yeah, these are the specific kits that we offer. All the things are included on the slide. But what's great is that these are offered through if you're a CalWater customer, but even if you're not, these are all affordable items that you can get at your local Lowe's, Home Depot, any hardware store. You can find these appliances and can see really great water savings in your home by making these small retrofits. So yeah, so here's a list specifically of the residential rebates that we specifically at CalWater offer. But again, as I've said, most of these are very popular programs. So even if you're not a CalWater customer, it's likely that your water utility provides or offers some type of water conservation program as well because of all the legislation that has been passed in the past couple decades. So yeah, those were the ones on the residential side. And we also offer most of the same ones to our commercial customers as well. One very interesting one to note here that is specifically for our commercial customers is the Customized Incentive Program. That's a unique opportunity for our for our commercial customers that may have a unique, specialized water conservation need that doesn't specifically fit into one of our existing rebate programs. And I'll talk about one of those in the coming slide. But yeah, that's a cool opportunity for some of our larger scale water conservation customers. So, okay, moving on to kind of tie up the things that we've kind of already been doing and to reiterate that these are things that our customers have been doing and that we've been doing as a company. These are our statistics just from the past 2023 alone. And yeah, as you can see, we see the greatest water savings from our outdoor water irrigation program, outdoor water conservation programs, but the indoor programs are not insignificant with almost 100 million gallons saved over the lifetime as well. So yeah, just again to reiterate, these are things that we've already been doing on the urban water retail supply side. And yeah, to kind of wrap it up and to talk about things that we're looking forward to in the future. As you can imagine, the water companies often have a very good relationship with the fire departments since it's an essential component of their business as well. And yeah, we love to support our fire departments, but the one thing is they can, some of their training practices can be extremely wasteful. They can, up to millions of gallons can be wasted annually through their different training practices that are of course necessary, but so we have invested in what are called these drafts units, which are direct recirculation apparatus, firefighter training, and sustainability units, which are essentially these apparatuses that the firefighters can use during their training. And so they essentially just spray their hoses right into the unit, and it can be opened from the side or the top. And yeah, as long as it's all hooked up correctly, it creates essentially a closed loop system with virtually zero water waste. So this is awesome. It can save, millions of gallons of water every year. And yeah, so in the future, we're looking to invest in these. We already have one up in one of our northern districts in Chico, one of our southern districts in Bakersfield, and we're investing in one here in Salinas as well. So with that, do I have any questions?
So I see some people have jotted some questions down, so let me go ahead and start collecting them, and if I can get some help collecting, that'll be great. All right, what efficiency requirements are in place for commercial car washes and microbreweries?
Does Tia know? Tia is
come on up and
my
feel that a bit.
And an expert in more of these.
So I think for most commercial places, it's really incentive based rather than regulatory based. So in the regulation that I'm going to talk about, for most commercial process type water, even though it's a car wash, right? It's really hard to regulate that on a gallon scale to say you can only use this much water. So rather than that, we move towards a more performance-based measure, lots of best management practices that agencies like CalWater need to provide in order for those types of businesses to take advantage of. So we see less like stringent regulations on them and more carrot-based approaches.
All right, if 60% of domestic, if 60% of domestic water is used outdoors, is CalWater open to cost sharing and collaborating towards a water treatment and reuse system with agricultural stakeholders?
That is a good one. Can you repeat the second half?
I will. Is CalWater open to cost sharing and collaborating toward a water treatment and reuse system with agricultural stakeholders? Given that 60% of domestic water is used outdoors, is there a capacity or an opportunity to sort of combine water treatment and reuse with agricultural stakeholders?
Yeah, and I mean, I would say just briefly, I am not, we have a government, community relations team that I think is more qualified to answer specifically, so I can't make any promises, but I mean, we have tons of agricultural customers in our Salinas district, which are considered our commercial customers, and they're all welcome to take advantage of any of our rebate programs that are already existing or the customized incentive program. as well. So, for instance, if we have a farm that is a customer of ours and they're interested in installing maybe some of the drip irrigation like Norm has already talked about, and they need some help doing that, we would be happy to help with that cost through a rebate, through the customized incentive program, even though it's not already an existing program. So if that's, I think, how I can answer it on my side.
So I have very real life response to that. In Scotts Valley Water District, where I came from, we had recycled water plant that we helped, we funded with the city of Scotts Valley. And we had a purple pipe system not for residential. The only people that were hooked up to that were HOAs, but not residential, for two reasons. One is actually permitting a residential connection. It's a headache and it's very expensive. You need a backflow device because of cross-connection contamination. The second and even more, I guess, bigger challenge, what makes it almost not pencil out, is constructing a second distribution system of purple pipe to each residential customer. It is really something that does not really make money sense. So the treatment is easy. How to get it from the treatment plant to each residential service connection, that is very challenging. What we did do in the middle of the drought is we offered free recycled water to our residential customers if they came and picked it up themselves. And we had maybe 100 customers who took advantage of that. So they had to go through a training first because we had to certify them that they know what to do with that and what not to do with the recycled water. And then they had to travel with their truck that actually was able to put 300 gallons was the maximum that they were able to get for free every single day. They had to travel with that big container on back of their truck bed to the tap to get it. It took about 20 minutes to fill that. Then they had to go home with that, and they had to offload that to irrigate and then do it over and over. One thing that they learned is why the price of water is what it is. It's not the treatment, it's the conveyance. So they had to go through that every single day, and how quickly that 300 gallons went in the irrigation. They turned into, how can I turn my irrigation into more efficient landscape that does not need that water? It was quite amazing.
I've got one more question here, and then I'm going to have to move us on. Again, Tia is going to be coming up, so what questions with regards to urban water use, I'll ask for you to hold, and we'll see if we've got the time when Tia is speaking. So the question I've got here is, there's been no mention of gray water. Is there any role in the future?
I don't think we do. Yeah. Oh, definitely not here in Salinas or King City.
Yeah, gray water definitely is an option that people should do.
Go ahead and describe what gray water is.
Gray water is if you use your local washer and dryer water into irrigating your landscape. I think that is a low barrier. One thing, because we are such a Mediterranean climate, so you would be collecting water at the time when it rains, when your landscape does not need much. And then for 6 months, when your landscape actually would want the water, there's nothing to put in that rain barrel. In order to make it last through the summer, you need a huge container, and that is really not a very cost effective.
So I'm going to send us to a break right now and try to.